Hey guys, what's going on? This is another episode of the Winning Play podcast. I'm your host, Sean Gary, and I have an amazing guest with us today. And before I get into that, what we do on the Winning Play podcast is we are going to get our championship ring. So this is the Winning Play. We're going to give these winning plays to the principals, the teachers, the parents, everybody who works with students, any student advocate. If you're working with young people, there's going to be benefits for you watching this podcast. So before we get into that, we like to give out a ring, championship ring. So you get to pick yours first, and then we eat our ring during our episode. So I'll let you pick first. After that, I'll read your bio, and we'll get right into it.
All right. I have one right here. Thank you.
You got one? All right. Mm-hmm. Perfect. What flavor was yours?
Mine is cherry.
Cherry?
Mm-hmm. Cherry.
Sour cherry. Okay, both of these are sour. I'm going to go with the watermelon. The watermelon. All right. We champs out here. We win.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Nice. All right, so you guys are in for a treat today. My guest today, Sara Barner, is awesome, and I'm going to read this bio. She's got some interesting experience that she's going to be able to share that I don't know anybody else that I could think of better suited to share the information that she has to share today. So I'm really excited. You guys should be excited. Get your pens, your pads, your pencils, your paper, your notepad, your iPad, any other tablet you want to take notes on. Go get it. Get ready. And here we go. All right. So it says, Sara is she was a college athlete from the University of Toledo, worked with at-risk special needs children since graduating from college in 2000. From one end of I-75 to another, working in Toledo, day in and in the Cincinnati area and the surrounding areas. She has a special needs child herself, and now she's a huge advocate for children on IEPs and with special needs. So if you guys have a student that is special needs or has IEPs, this is an episode that you are going to want to tune into. So I'm saying that now, but tune in, tag somebody, share this with somebody, send this to somebody you know that fits the description, okay? All right, so let's get into this. You ready?
I'm ready.
You excited?
I'm excited.
Hey, thank you so much, man, for being on here.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
We've been trying to figure it out, and we got it. We worked it out.
That's
we worked it
right.
out. All right, so honestly, if we can, I want to go all the way back to, let's go right to your son. Like with his situation, his special needs the way that, is that the best way to describe it? Like how would the respectful way to articulate his situation? How would we say?
He is a special needs child, yes.
Okay.
He has cerebral palsy, so
Okay.
he would fall along those lines.
So my question is, when did you find out that he had say it again?
Cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy. When did you find out he had it? And tell me like what you were thinking. How did you feel? Because somebody else right now is in that situation where they're feeling what you felt. And let's kind of start there if we can.
Okay, sure. He was born prematurely at 27 and a half weeks. And in the hospital, he was told and given a lot of different tests, and they pretty much knew in the hospital that he was going to have diagnoses, but they didn't share with me until later on. When he was 9 months old, I realized that he wasn't able to hold a bottle.
Okay.
So I'm like, this is not normal, because my other children were able to hold bottles and roll and, like do like the fundamental developmental milestones, and he wasn't.
Okay. So how many other children how many total children you have?
I have 4 altogether.
Okay, 4 total. And excuse me. And so when you said that they knew something earlier, like when did they know something was going on? Or
they knew something in the hospital when he was born.
Oh, really?
They didn't disclose it to me.
What?
Yes.
So how did you find out that they knew something that far back?
In hindsight, I should have reviewed his medical records a little more. I should have scrutinized them a little more.
Okay.
But I did not.
Here we go. First nugget. What would you tell somebody who was in your situation or about to be in your situation tomorrow that you would have changed different, like kind of what you were just describing? Are your students lacking confidence? How's their decision making in the school? What about their effort in the classroom? Are they giving it all that they really, really have? Well, these are things that, as a national youth speaker and author, I address in school buildings. If you are dealing with any of these issues and you would like to have a fun, exciting, full of energy presentation, assembly, don't hesitate to reach out. My website is SeanGary.com. How they think about their next choices will be different. Go ahead and book a discovery call with me, which we simply have a conversation about what their challenges are, what their needs are, and then I can share with you what I would say, do, what talks that I have that address those areas, and also what an assembly would look like. And yes, I'm pretty much there the whole day. All right, thanks a lot. Now back to the episode. Tell that parent what they should do to double check, triple check, or whatever to make sure that the doctors are doing what they're supposed to do and that they know what's going on.
Review all medical records of your children and have them disclose all information to you.
So when you say that,
and get a copy of the medical records because we're entitled to them.
Okay. So what did you see later or learn later about that season and that period where you said like, oh wait, I didn't know this, or man, I didn't see this document? Like what? How did that happen?
Well, I didn't realize it because I was so busy with my other children,
Okay.
and he was in the NICU. So it was more about just trying to maintain and just keeping him healthy.
Okay.
And I wasn't so much concerned with his medical records as much as I was just
Being a parent.
and
Yeah,
making sure
yeah.
he was healthy and that the nurses were doing what they were supposed to do at the time. So
Okay. So now it's what, 9 months in, and you're like, something's up. What were you feeling? What were you thinking? And as far as like, how do I figure out what's going on? Like, is there something wrong? Is there something I don't know about? Like, tell me a little bit about what you felt in that period of time and what you did about it.
So the first step is to identify that there's an issue.
Okay.
And then after you identify that there's an issue, you take it to your primary care provider.
Okay.
And then your primary care provider then refers you out
Okay.
to whatever, whether it be occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy. They then make those referrals
Okay.
to the doctors, to the pediatricians, to the children's specialists.
Gotcha. Now the first thing you said was to first confirm. So how did you confirm? Like what? Like from the before you could get to the help provided, what to the diagnosing moment? Like how do you get from?
I think it's innate as a mother. Mothers innately know when something is wrong with their child.
Okay.
And I just knew that there was something wrong with my son because he wasn't holding his bottle,
Right.
and he wasn't doing, like I said, the milestone fundamentals that the children do at those ages.
Okay. And then was there like a doctor's office or like a specific place to go to say, hey, I want to see if my child can they test for something to see what's wrong? Or how do you go from, I know something is wrong, something's not right, to the doctors that diagnose and can say, oh yes, this is what's going on? Like, how did you go from that part to that gap?
No, you just take it to your pediatrician.
Okay.
You just take your concern to your pediatrician and let your pediatrician know that these are things that you're noticing, and then your pediatrician refers them out. After their diagnosis. And after their assessments.
Right.
They then refer them out.
And so at what age was it you said 9 months. So was it at 9 months when the extra support or like what happened with him after that part? Like after going to the doctors and saying, okay, yep, there's something going on here. Like when did he start getting, I don't know if treatment is the word or physical therapy? Like what does that look like, and when did he even start that process?
Well, he did start receiving physical therapy at a young age.
What's young?
At 9 months.
Wow.
He was referred at 9 months.
Okay.
Nowadays, it's a little harder because everyone's diagnosing children because there's money involved with diagnosing children who are on IEPs.
Okay.
So
now we get into some of the good stuff.
So
Okay.
So there's a lot of money that comes along with it. So there's a longer waiting list now. But then it was easier. The segue was easier just to get the children in to the physical therapist once it was referred by the primary physician. To have the child assessed, and he then went through physical therapy.
Okay, so we're talking well before school. So
Absolutely.
What was life like leading up to like preschool and going to school, and how did you deal with that, and what were some of the challenges you had to face during that time?
Well, during his preschool age, I took him to Perlman, which is a cerebral palsy specialized school.
Okay.
During his preschool aged years. So he received physical therapy and occupational therapy from them as well.
Nice.
As well as the academic piece.
Okay.
So they enlightened me with kind of what I needed and how I needed to address the traditional school settings.
Okay.
With the IEP.
Okay, so they were able to help prepare you for that next step, kind of.
They were.
Did you feel overall, which I think I kind of got the answer now, but did you feel like it was a good place for him, and you feel like it was a beneficial season for him being there and everything?
Absolutely, because he needed surgeries as well.
Oh,
so they diagnosed surgeries that he needed.
Wow.
And corresponded with his orthopedic doctors, and arranged for those referrals to ortho and things of that nature, so that he received the medical as well as the educational piece.
Yeah. Wow. So there's so many pieces. Let me ask you this. Was there any, and this is a like deep personal like question, like from an emotional standpoint, was there ever in those earlier years, like how did you feel? Like what's that real raw, like why me, or was any of that like how am I gonna ever make it? Like what was some of those emotions that you felt that maybe somebody else may be feeling, and maybe they don't want to admit they're feeling, or they may feel bad they're feeling, but you're like, no, that's just a part of life to feel this way. Once you admit how you feel, then let's work through, how we feel. But what's some of the things you were thinking like in those earlier stages?
It was challenging because my other children were typical children, and
one of them's in the room, so shout him out, like he like, what up?
Yeah, so it was just to digest that you could possibly have a child with being an athlete myself that could have physical needs was just hard for me to wrap my mind around. And it took a while until his father and I went through the Perlman Center and saw other children who were very more in deplorable states that just basically laid there and weren't able to do anything but look at you. And we would leave the center, and his dad would be like, Sarah, look at them. Like, just be thankful that Solomon is not like that. That he is able to move and that he is vocal, and because there are harder situations than the ones that we face. And that was an eye-opener for me. Yeah. Wow. I feel like that's a nugget for anybody in any situation in life today. It's like we can look at our situation and feel bad, but if we think longer about it, there's probably other people that are in worse situations, than we're in. And, I just feel like sometimes life can be hard, but you just know this too shall pass, right? This is a season. Just got to get through this thing, learn what God want me to learn, right? Learn what I'm supposed to learn in this season, but then let me, be looking forward also to what's coming, and to not be able to think this is it. Like, oh man, life is over. So that school, was it considered a school? What was that? Preschool, right? It was considered preschool. It only went up through kindergarten. That's what I was going to ask. So up to kindergarten. So what was transition like from kindergarten? So going into kindergarten, or did they have kindergarten? So they had kindergarten. Okay. But he was scheduled for a huge surgery. That kept him in a full body cast for 6 weeks. Wow. So then thereafter, I didn't feel comfortable sending him anywhere. So I worked. How old was he with the full body? That was what, 5 maybe? He was, that was 3 years ago. So he was 5, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Full body cast for 2 weeks, you said?
For 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Oh my goodness. I couldn't imagine. So how was that? Like with transportation, going places? Did you go anywhere? Like what was life like during that?
No, because that was during the pandemic.
Oh,
So,
wow. Right.
Yeah, that was like during the pandemic.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I didn't take
Everybody
him
was
anywhere.
locked down anyway, really.
I had so many fears with him during that time.
I bet. You're like, nah, you ain't going nowhere.
Nowhere.
Ain't going
We made
nowhere.
accommodations.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
So.
Okay. And so what was that, the surgeries part? Let's get on that a little bit. So everybody's not going to need surgery. So how did you find out he needed to have surgeries? How many surgeries? What was that process like?
He's had 2 major surgeries. He's had a neurological surgery on his back.
Okay.
That severed nerves down through his legs.
Okay.
So he doesn't have the spasticity anymore in his body.
Okay.
And he also had a hip abduction surgery on both of his hips, where they repositioned his hips.
Wow.
Because there was dysformality in his hips. So,
okay. And that stuff helps him to get around better and stuff now?
Yes, it does.
Could you tell a big difference?
Yes.
Really?
Absolutely. He wouldn't be able to walk without them.
What?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big difference then. That's a big difference. Wow. Okay. Lighten it up real quick. Tell us what's 3 things that he absolutely loves. Tell us more about him.
He loves to swim. He's in aquatic therapy.
I think I've seen some videos or pictures of him in the water, like on Facebook.
Swimming, yes. And he enjoys going to like marine centers and seeing fish and water.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
So
He liked that water.
Yeah, we visit quite a few marine centers. And he also enjoys playing sports with his brothers and sisters.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay. Nice.
He likes to get out and shoot the basketball. And,
okay.
Yeah. So he's an athletic kid.
Good.
Despite
of
it all.
Yeah. Yes. That's awesome. Okay. So what grade is he in now?
He's currently in 2nd grade.
2nd grade. Okay. So let's go from kindergarten into like 1st grade and 2nd grade. What was that process like with him? I'll say with you first, finding maybe the right school, or what was your thinking behind like, okay, let me transition. This was a great experience here at this place. Hopefully I'll find, the next level just as supportive and, informative and things like that. What was that process like, trying to figure out where he was going to go next?
Well, I felt confident in him going into a traditional school setting.
Okay.
Just because of my knowledge of IEPs with my experience in working with children that had IEPs.
Yeah.
So
you were already working with students with IEPs.
I did at the time.
Okay. Wow. So you okay.
So
well, that better suited you to even handle that season when it was your son.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's good. Okay. So, because I want to get on the IEP stuff too, but before we go there, so you said you were confident in him going to traditional school. Since he's been where he is now, has everything been kind of how you were hoping and expecting?
Oh,
like,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Which I think is going to segue us right into IEPs and support. So if you are in this situation and you're wanting to know, how do I get support for my child? How do I make sure my child is in position to win? This is where you're going to want to lean in a little bit. So go ahead and tell us. Let's start with the worst. Like, what's some of the bad experiences that you had? And obviously, we can learn from the bad experiences. That's why we want to talk about them. Plus, for somebody else who's going through, they'll know, like, oh, man, I had to go through that same thing, girl. Man, I hated that. I thought it was just me. Like, what's some of the stuff that you had to go through that you were like, man, this sucks. I hate this. And, I hope I don't have to ever go through this again.
I think the obvious of your child's disability, whether it be behavioral, academic, or physical, and how the teachers handle the situations.
Yeah.
For my son in particular, he had a major surgery, and the teachers were allowing him, after his hip abduction surgery, to crawl around after getting his cast removed from his body, crawl around on the floor. around a bunch of other typical children. And this is kindergarten. And I'm like, okay, teachers, like red flag, you know, like, can you be a little more insightful, you know, whether, you know, like I said, whether it be behavioral or academic or physical, like I think that teachers need to be a little more insightful of the needs of the children.
So for those who are like, okay, he was on the floor, what was the alternative, like, that just really don't know, what should have been the situation instead of him just being on the floor around the other kids running around and stuff?
Well, he had major surgery. Like, he had major surgery, and I'm not going to go into the details because they're kind of gory, but if you look up hip abduction surgery, even for adults, let alone children, the details are very severe, and it is very intense.
Yeah.
And he's in a wheelchair, so he does not currently walk. So it just wasn't appropriate at all.
So instead of being on the floor, he should have been in his chair, like, to at least be out of harm's way. That's like my first thought is, I'm seeing this kid on the floor. Kids are on the floor all the time, but like, not one that just had surgery or that can be stepped on or kicked or.
No, because he has hardware. He had hardware in his legs at the time.
Wow.
So I mean, there's a
he
lot
should have been
that
up in the
comes
chair
along with that. Yes.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So how did you, when you walked in, I'm so glad I wasn't there that day to see your face, but when you walked in or found out that he was been on the floor, like, what were you like? Take us back to that moment.
Lioness. Lioness. Let me tell you, I'm a huge, like, my son does not go without. I'm a huge advocate for my son. I called the school right away. Because that day was pajama day, and he had, he was even outside that day on, like, crawling around at recess.
Wow.
And you could tell that he was on the ground at recess.
Yeah.
And
why did they let him out the wheelchair to crawl on the floor if he's not able to walk?
Exactly.
Like, well, let's take the person out of the wheelchair who's not able to walk and put them on. Like, that doesn't even make sense. I'm not understanding the logic behind that.
There was no sense.
Right. And then, of course, the clothes is going to show that he was on the floor or on the ground. And so, wow, that's crazy. So you called the school, then what happened?
Notified the school, then I called for a meeting. A meeting was conducted. At that time, I felt that my son was deserving and in need of a one-on-one, which is like a one-on-one specialist that would work with him throughout the day, which a lot of children receive for behavioral needs, but they tend to be a little more specific when it comes to children that have physical needs. So I was told that after our meeting that he did not qualify. So it was a process.
Wow.
It was a process in getting him.
Dang, they said he didn't qualify. So how did you feel about receiving the nope, he doesn't qualify?
Well, I continued to push.
Yeah.
I got in touch with the U.S. Department of Education.
Good.
I reached out to advocates. A lot of times there are advocates within the districts that support parents in need of support in IEP meetings to help facilitate, because they know all the verbiage that's needed in those IEP meetings. So those are always available. And after 2 years of fighting, and after my background and my history and working with additional teachers within special education, they were just beside themselves that I wasn't able to get him the services that he was in need of. I reached out to our advocate within our district, and it just took her being there without even having to say anything.
Wow.
And the coordinator assigned him a one-on-one specialist.
Wow. Just walking in, looking, and going, what are we talking about, people? Like, this is definitely, yes, approved.
Right.
Wow.
And that's all it took.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. So again, we're here for you guys. So if you don't have the information, I'm trying to ask the questions that you would ask if you were here. So for the mom that says, where do I start? I know my kid's not getting an IEP? What is an IEP? What is the one-on-one help? I just know my child needs more. Where's the first place they should go to try to get help?
The first place you would go, we would back it all the way up to your primary care physician.
Okay.
Because
I wouldn't even have thought that. So yeah, that's good.
Right
okay.
there is where you get your help.
Okay.
And a lot of times they won't write, the IEP is the individual education plan. A lot of times they won't write them. They'll do a 504, which is not as intense as the IEP.
Okay. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's slow down. So tell them what an IEP stands for again. You hit that real quick. What an IEP is, and then the 50. I don't know how.
The 504.
You remember the 504 boys? What? We the 504 boys? What? Like that's back in the day.
Yeah,
like.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So that's music. That was
Right.
some secular stuff back in the day. Anyway, so if you can explain to them what an IEP is and what the 504 is.
An IEP is an individual education plan that is a state documented plan that has to, that the teachers have to adhere to.
Okay.
Because it is mandated by the state.
Okay.
And districts can get into a lot of trouble if they are not adhering to the modifications on the IEP.
Okay.
So it's an individual education plan. They assess the child and they base all the assessments off the needs.
Okay.
And then they write it into a plan.
Nice. And then who's the they? Is it the doctors? What you were saying? Go to the doctors
So
first?
the doctors you would go to, and then
And they get the ball rolling.
and the doctors would get the ball rolling.
Okay.
Because you always want to have doctors' documentation.
Yeah, that's
You always
good.
want to have the doctor's documentation.
Okay.
That's pretty much that's the carrot.
Okay. So they write up or they connect you with. So who is it? The doctors that actually do the evaluation for the IEP?
No, they would assess, and then they would refer, they will write something up, or they will.
Almost like a prescription.
It
maybe.
is.
Okay. Perfect.
It is similar to,
So-
or they'll refer you out, like I said, to
Okay.
maybe like Children's Medical Center, where you do an assessment there. And then
Gotcha.
Children's Medical Center will then reach out to the district, the school district.
Okay, that was the next
And set up a
question.
meeting there.
Okay.
So that they're all providing those services around that child based off of the child's need.
Right. Okay. Okay. We moving, guys. I hope y'all staying with us, paying attention, following this journey of the process, because that's the key, the how, right? Like, okay, I know I need help, but how? That's that frustrating place. It's like sometimes it's not even knowing what we need, but then once it's like, I just need some kind of help. How do I get this help? So going to the doctor, they get that ball rolling with their documentation of their own evaluation, and then even possibly just sending you to someone else who could actually do maybe a more thorough evaluation. And then they're the ones getting in contact with, was it the district you said? Or who do they get in contact
the
with?
The parent is the responsible party.
Okay.
The parent is the responsible party.
Yeah,
Because
don't put this off on the pizza man or the milkman or whoever comes by the house randomly, your cousin, your nephew, your niece. This is you, mom, dad. This is your responsibility to stay on top of this. So stay on top of it. Go ahead.
Yes, it is because they're the ones that are going to be receiving the documentation and providing the documentation. So they're going to want to know exactly what is going on with their child.
Yeah. Okay. And so once where did it go from the specialist to did they go, so the, if I said it right, so the doctor documents and or sends to the specialist, and then they're evaluating to try to get the documentation down that the child needs an IEP. What's that step
Remember how
after
I told you when you can go back and receive all medical records of your
that?
child?
Yes.
You have access to all of that.
Okay.
So the practitioners give the medical information to the parent,
Okay.
and you provide the medical information.
Okay.
So that's why the parent is so imperative.
Perfect. And then the IEP is actually put together by who?
By a team. And the team consists of...
Yeah, tell us about this
yes,
team.
the team consists of, they'll do assessments at the school, like a school psychiatrist.
Okay.
They'll have a speech therapist to see if speech is needed.
Okay.
Like my son, he had occupational therapy as well as physical therapy
Okay.
involved on his team. And then you'll have your teacher in the classroom. You'll have a representative within the district. And
Okay.
then more times than not, you have a principal that sits in as
Nice.
well, just so that they're aware of what is going on within
That's
their
good.
building. So
That's real good.
those are the components that are brought together for that team for that child's needs on the IEP.
Okay. I have a question I want to jump to and then come back to this, but is there any kind of support? Like, is there a group of parents that are all kind of going through the same, like a community where they can say, hey, this is what I'm going through. Maybe they got a chance to watch this podcast, but for the person that don't have the opportunity to get all your nuggets and all your diamonds, is there a place that they can go, like online, a Facebook group or something where people can say, hey, guys, I need some help? Like, who's there to support parents through all this type of these processes?
To be honest, there aren't a lot of parent support groups.
Really?
A lot of parents
Wow.
don't take the initiative. I didn't find it when I was going through that with my son. I was just more along the lines of what professional personnel can help me, because that's where you gain your strides, is
Okay.
through personnel and professionalism.
Okay.
So like I mentioned, a lot of the districts and a lot of the schools do have advocates
Yeah.
within their district that will provide that information.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So first and foremost, everybody that's watching right now, if you made it this far, please like and subscribe. If you like this content, if you care about young people, you want parents and teachers and principals to get this type of information so they can better serve students, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and share this with at least 3 people. It's really important that as we have information to help our community and help those around us, that we share that information so that we can be better. The next thing I want to ask, because this may not be for you, is if you're somebody who was in a group, or you're looking for a group, or you, like I said, maybe you know of a group that does support and help families, please put that information in the comments below. If there's a group that you're aware of, or maybe you are the group, like you have the group yourself, or you're in charge of it, or the coordinator, or whatever the case is, if you have that information, please put that in the comments below. Say, hey, if you're in this county or whatever city, this is a resource available for parents, or anything that we're talking about.
That's
Please throw that information in the comments so people watching can get more nuggets, more diamonds from you guys. And I thank you so much for being a part of our community and sharing information. All right. So let's see, what's next? So you have experienced a lot, not including your child, with IEPs. Not including your son, what are some of the situations that you've seen that were just terrible, as far as other students needing things and maybe not getting it, maybe parents who weren't where they were supposed to be as far as getting their, doing what they're supposed to do, their part? I just want to hear like a story or two of something that was just crazy and you just was like, oh my gosh. Like what? Like, let me hear something. And I guess it's kind of funny, but it's kind of sad too. So hopefully it's better now than.
No, I think the thing now that a lot of teachers are experiencing is just being overwhelmed, and with technology, just being overwhelmed with the additional needs of children who are on IEPs, but because they require so much more with their modifications. And I think it's unfortunate when parents aren't involved, because then they don't realize what the child is missing out on.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just necessary that the parent is always in the know.
Yeah.
Because even as a teacher, when I walked through, I've worked as para positions, I've worked as case managers in the schools, I've worked as transitional specialists in the schools, I've worked with MRDD in the schools, and I think that the main thing that's missing is just the parental participation.
Wow. Okay. So what is it that the parents have claimed, or what have you heard? What's the reason why they're not really like plugged in like they should be? That you, from your experience, what have you seen or heard?
Lack of awareness.
Really?
I really do.
Like not knowing that their kid needs help, or what do you mean? Elaborate on that if you can.
Just lack of awareness of like their child's needs. They're not in touch with their child's needs. If you see something like your children writing an S backwards at 7 or 8 years old. I mean,
Okay.
that's not normal. Like that's something that you should probably address
Right.
with
Okay.
your family physician or your pediatrician. I mean,
Okay.
things such as those, math. If they're not able to multiply certain numbers at a certain age,
Yeah.
you might want to take those concerns to your primary care physician so that they can look into like modifications, which is a 504, which isn't as in depth, isn't as mandated as the IEP, and those are more lenient, but they do still receive modifications. But if you
Okay.
just see things that your child may not be doing, but I think the thing that is most important is that the parents are aware. Because the schools can only do so much, in all honesty. I mean, the schools are diligent and working, but if you don't have the parental involvement,
Yeah.
a lot of times, and that was with physical therapy with myself, in the hospitals and in medicine, the doctors are not going to follow through.
Yeah.
And that's the same within the schools. If the parents don't show that they want help,
Right.
then
The kid just struggles.
the kid suffers,
Man.
unfortunately.
That's no good.
No, it's
What
not.
what is there anything that the teachers can do in that kind of a situation where it's like, man, this kid needs an IEP? Can they kind of get that ball rolling?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The teachers assess
Okay.
students all the time. There are standard assessments, there are state assessments, there are tests that the teachers are continually doing to assess the students and their needs.
Yeah.
But the parents have to buy in as well,
Right.
to make sure that the children are receiving what they need.
Okay. So, personal experience, personal story, and I'm gonna let you bounce off some ideas off of this after I share this story.
Okay.
So I've been in education for 15 plus years, even speaking, not speaking, just subbing, everything. And so I remember this one particular school, and of course I'm not going to name the school, but that particular day, I was assigned to work with, and you can even help me with the actual name of the person when I tell you what she was doing. Her job was to like work with those IEP students and like pull them out of class and work on whatever areas they need to work on to get better, and then test them and see how they're doing and document and record their progress. And so this particular day, I will never forget it. The whole day, she had me helping to test the kids. And the interesting thing that I learned so much that day. The interesting that I learned is being in those classrooms and being just a voice in the hallway, like just because a lot of times I would be free to kind of roam the building and just kind of make sure keeping things on lock, and kids acting up. I can hear something, okay, student wilding out, let me run in here and just stand there sometimes, just to be present.
Right.
But when there were situations where I had to either just be in the class the whole time or sub that day, there were students who were the quote unquote problem child. They were the kids getting in trouble, causing problems and different things. And this particular day, when I was with her, I noticed that almost every single one of the students that I was testing to help her catch up were the students who were causing the most problems in class. And it was interesting because she was sharing with me, when you're in class as a sub, you may not know that little Johnny is struggling with reading and has an IEP and, is don't call on him to, read because he doesn't know how to read.
Right.
And so when you say, all right, class, we're about to read chapter 5, it's like we're going to go around the room and little Johnny start getting nervous. He's like, I'm not about to be embarrassed. They're not about to get to me. I'm about to turn some tables over or something. I'm about to cause some ruckus up in here because I got to get kicked out, or I got to find a way to not get caught in the middle of everybody when it's my turn to read.
Right.
Right. And so I was able to see that like firsthand. I'm like, dang, these are literally all the kids that are kicked out. Anytime I get on the walkie and, hey, Mr. Gary, can you come to, I'm always seeing these guys, like, you know. And when she explained that, I was like, oh my gosh, because I never knew they couldn't read at all, like, you know, or that their math levels and things were just so low. And the funny thing is, a lot of the times they were the most popular kid in the class. Are your students lacking confidence? How's their decision making in the school? What about their effort in the classroom? Are they giving it all that they really, really have? Well, these are things that, as a national youth speaker and author, I address in school buildings. If you are dealing with any of these issues and you would like to have a fun, exciting, full of energy presentation, assembly, don't hesitate to reach out. My website is SeanGary.com. How they think about their next choices will be different. Go ahead and book a discovery call with me, which we simply have a conversation about what their challenges are, what their needs are, and then I can share with you what I would say, do, what talks that I have that address those areas, and also what an assembly would look like. And yes, I'm pretty much there the whole day. All right, thanks a lot. Now back to the episode. They knew how to crack the jokes. They knew how to get the attention off of them not knowing how to do the work.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it was just like, man, it was so eye-opening to me. I was like, this is crazy. These all the kids that's struggling the most in the class, like with behavior. And so when I began to talk to her about that process, she started telling me, because I like to learn. So I'm asking questions. I'm asking, well, why is this? Or how does that work? And what is going on with this? And she told me that they're, because what we did was the whole day we were just testing kids, nonstop testing. And I asked her, I said, so this is what you do, like, because I saw her in the building, you know, but she had her space and stuff. You see people in the hall, hey, what's up? Yeah. So I was like, so is this like what you do, like here all the time? And she just kind of looked so frustrated, and I was like, uh-oh, what's going on, you know? And she says, well, what you see today is us testing them. She said, but after we test them, we're supposed to be able to go work with them to build up those skills, and the scores that we have when we test again, they should be a lot better because we've worked with them. Right. She said, if you've watched today, we're testing nonstop. And she said, so it's not enough of me in the building to work with these students in the in-between time. She said, so the last time I've seen some of these students was when I tested them. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, are you serious? She said, yeah, because there should be 5 of me in the building, according to this number. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh my God, are you serious? She said, yeah, there should be 5 of me in the building to accommodate the need of all the IEPs that are in this building. But because there's just me, I have to see all the kids, and all I have time to do is to test them and then send them back to class and test the next one. And I don't get to do much more than test. I got to catch up. And it just like broke my heart. I was just like, oh my gosh, man. All the students that are, and I'm like, I'm an outside person looking in and going, this is terrible. Right. I'm like, what are the people above you, the principals, the people who, and she said, well, the principal knows and shout out to the principal, because I just had a conversation with that principal. We got to catch up recently. So I love that guy. But she said, it's not the principal. She said, it's not the school. It's above them. It's the people that are sending us in. And she said that they even know that we're shorthanded. She said there was 2 of us at the beginning of the year. And she said we were struggling like crazy because it should have been 4 or 5 of us. She said, but when she left because she just couldn't take it anymore, she said it just made it worse for me. Right. And she's like, but I can't leave because they need me, like. And so, I mean, that goes into a whole nother episode on the stresses, right?
Yeah, it really does.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely, within the building.
Yeah, and so I wanted to ask you, I don't even remember now what I wanted to ask you, but I wanted to share that story with you about how I know that's what it was like, because I know there are schools sometimes that are shorthanded. So have you seen that? Have you seen where a school didn't have enough bodies to serve these students?
Working in the buildings, yes, I have. I have. And as you mentioned, those children that try to remove the educational attention away from themselves so they can avoid the reading, and answering the math questions are those that exhibit behavioral issues, that are being called out for the testing, who aren't receiving the services, because a lot of the schools, for whatever reason, just, are not providing those services. I can't answer for them because I don't know. But that is, I've seen that, absolutely.
Man,
I have
that
absolutely
sucks.
seen that, yes.
That sucks.
It is very unfortunate. And
How do we fix
a lot
that,
of the
man?
parents don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing too.
Oh my gosh.
Lack of awareness. Again, a lot of when you're not working in the district or working within a school, you don't realize what all is going on.
Real quick.
Sure.
If you are watching this as a parent whose child has an IEP, I implore you to go to your school, get the information. I don't know if they'll let you sit in on class, but I need you to go get on top of this. Find out if your kid is really getting what they need. Don't do it with a mean spirit. Don't do it with a mean mind, attitude, and all that. Just go wanting to learn. Say, hey, how do I better understand the processes to what my child is getting? What services are they getting? What's this education look like? And honestly, this could be for any parent, period. But if your child is supposed to be getting extra help, ask yourself right now, is your child actually getting extra help? Is your child actually getting what they're supposed to get? Now ask yourself, how do you know?
And what are you going to do about it?
How do you know if they're actually getting it or not? Because you can easily be like, oh yeah, I was there. I saw the paperwork. But is your child getting it? Have you asked your child maybe? Are you still seeing Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so? How are those sessions going? How are those lessons? What did you do? Get involved with your child. Ask them what their day's like, what they learned, who they learned from.
Check their book bags. There's always something in their book bag.
Check the book bags.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
If little Johnny, we're going to pick on Johnny again. If little Johnny ain't got no book bag, then we got a whole nother problem. But seriously, guys, please, man, please check on your babies. See if they're getting what they're supposed to be getting at school. Because I'm looking at it from the in the school standpoint, but listening to you say that, it's like, you're right. Some parents have no clue.
No, they don't.
No clue that there's one of 5 people that are supposed to be. Oh my gosh. And then how many schools are like that?
Right.
Short staff, short-handed. And then when you only have one person in there of 5, because she did mention this, she said like a lot of people don't want to come because they know that there's supposed to be 5 spots filled and they're number 2 of 5. So they're like, oh, okay. If they don't know get in there, once they get there, they're like, I'm going to be looking for something else.
Right.
And so they're not even going to be able to stay because they're all getting overwhelmed, and it's just like a cycle. Oh, my gosh. What do we do? What do we do?
Advocate for our children.
That's right. We watch podcasts like this to get informed, and then we put action behind it. Go to school, inquire. Go ask the questions. Become close. Connect with your teachers. Connect with the principals at the school. Ask questions. But please do it respectfully. Please do it respectfully.
Do the comment.
Please do it respectfully. And, what do they say? It's a saying about, it's like it's something about the sugars. You can get something better than sugar or honey than with sour or something. I don't know. The point is, be nice and sweet. Yeah. is the point. Be nice and sweet and ask the questions you need to ask. Get to the bottom of it and connect with your schools. Connect with them. Connect with them. I mean, you have been on here dropping so many diamonds. I thank you for everything that you have shared. Is there anything? Oh, I know what I want to ask. I want to give you some flowers. You are in the process of going through an invention, I believe it is. And I don't want to give away all the stuff that we can't talk about, but I just want to give you a chance to share how cool that is and that journey. And when you make some millions one day, don't forget the little people, don't forget the rest of us. But tell us a little bit about that.
I am in the process. There have been many obstacles along the way of having a child with special needs. Many. One being not having the proper equipment that you need, and always having to advocate and fight insurance and waiting months to receive what you need for your child and in order to walk or even to be able to sit with you. So I have invented something.
And make sure you don't say nothing that you can't say.
Right. I have invented something that will help special needs children.
Okay.
That will not make a parent wait as long to receive through their insurance, whether it's been denied or approved.
Okay.
So it's in the process right now.
Nice.
We just finished it, and we're getting ready to go up against some consumers. So I'm excited. It's been a 3-year project, so we're just about done with it. Yeah,
that is so cool.
Yeah, so hopefully you'll be seeing it soon everywhere.
Yeah, man, congrats on that.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. I'm excited.
When do you think, if everything works perfectly smooth from now to the end, how long till you think it'll be out? Like, what's some of those steps left or?
I would like to see it in certain places by next year.
Wow, that's soon. That's cool.
I'd like to see it
That's
in certain.
cool.
I think that there was one place there was a reason why I did this in particular. So
Had a personal experience.
I did.
Yeah.
So I took it upon myself to make a change.
I love
so that
it.
other people don't have to experience what my son and I experienced.
Wow, that's cool. So if you are going through something, first thing that I want you to actually go through is use one of these right here and scroll and hit subscribe. hit the subscribe, hit the like button, hit the share this with somebody, text your mom, your brother, your sister, your cousin, little Johnny, because we always use little Johnny as our example. So share this thing, please get this information out. I also want to encourage people too, because we go through things sometimes and we feel like we're alone. We feel like, I don't know, because for me personally, I don't know what it feels like. I mean, I don't, and I can't imagine, having to look up and my child has certain limitations that maybe they didn't have before, or that the other kids don't have, or whatever. And it's like, so if there is somebody who just needs to know, like, it's going to be okay, you're going to be able to get through this, you're not alone. There are other people who have gone through the same thing or similar, and you're not by yourself. Just hang in there, be encouraged. There are resources. You got some here, but there's going to be more coming in the chat. I just know people are going to light this chat up and just put a bunch of resources. You could be in California, you could be in Ohio, you could be in Florida, you could be in Michigan, wherever you are. If you're a teacher and you have students in your class with IEPs and 504s, like, if there's resources, please put that stuff down there. This is to help parents who are in situations that they may not know, what do I do next? Where can I get some help? Where can I get some resources? So it's going to be okay. This too shall pass. We're going to get through this thing. And there's always, always, always somebody dealing with something, and you just have no idea what they're dealing with. And it could be the same exact thing as you. So I'm trying to think anything else. Is there anything that you want to share that maybe we haven't talked about?
I think that covers the basis. I know a lot of churches offer, just within your community, do offer, services and connections and tutoring. So that would be one area you could look. But I am the type of person who just goes for it. So I never too much really looked into anyone else who was experiencing. So I guess that's kind of my negligence. I'm just that determined one. God just gave me that determination within me. So I've never really gone and looked for. I've never felt sorry, and I've never felt sorry for myself.
Yeah.
You know, in all honesty, I mean, it was hard, but it's not like I sat around. I say that to say I never sat around and said, "Oh, you know, feels." You know, it's
Yeah.
because people are who they are, you know, and you just have to connect the right resources to make those gaps filled.
Yeah.
And they are out there.
Yeah.
They are out there. And if they're not, make one.
That's good. That's good. All right. So to wrap this thing up, we have the win and play piece here. So I know you've dropped a bunch of diamonds, and you may summarize one or two in this part and say something again. You already said that's fine because they need to hear it again if you choose that. So the way this part works,
Okay.
you have a choice. I'm going to give you package A and package B. You tell me what you want to go with.
Okay.
Package A, you have 3 winning plays tips that you can give to parents, to principals, and to teachers. So that's 9 total things. Or you can choose 5 in package B. Choose 5 things to give one of them. 5 tips, tricks, helps, advice for parents, 5 for principals, or 5 for teachers. So which one, if that made sense to you, which one would you like to choose?
I think I would come from like the parental advocacy side of it.
The principal?
No, the parent.
Parent, you said?
The
Okay.
parent
Okay.
advocacy side of it.
Okay. 5 things for the parents.
Yeah, 5 things for the parents.
Awesome. Let's
yeah,
go.
I think I would just just be in touch with what your child needs are. Just, you know, check in book bags, you know, make sure that you have that communication, you know, with teachers and principals, and that you can make just surprise visits to schools, drop-ins, ask to volunteer. So that you're acclimated with what other students are in the classroom with your child. If you feel that there is something going on with your child and another child within the classroom, you know, volunteer for special events. And I think that just showing your child that you're in support of them.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Regardless of their situation.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you got a couple in there. So being aware, being a part of them. I would say even because you said the checking the book bags, volunteering. I think that's a good one. That deserves a number for itself. And the third one, just now, what did you say at the end there? You said, what was that last part? Getting involved, knowing who is in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
You get to do that with volunteering. Give us 2 more.
Communication with the teachers.
Okay.
I think that you should have constant communication with your student or with your child's teacher.
Nice.
And then the last one I would say would be, as a parent, there's so many. Because, you know, like, cause
Yeah.
there's so many to even say. Do something special for your child. You know, make them feel special,
That's good.
do one-on-one things with your child, you know, to make them feel included just for them individually, within your family or within your household.
That's good. That's
Mhm.
good. That is awesome. I love those diamonds. Guys, you're witnessing the Win and Play podcast, and you have gotten a ton of diamonds today from Sara, and we have had some great discussion. I'm sure that the comments are going to light up, and if you look down in the comments and you don't see anything down there, that just means it's on the way. And so you can leave the first comment or the second or third yourself. So, all right. So that's it. Anything last you want to say before we go?
I don't thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Oh man,
for
it
being
was.
here. It's been an honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Mhm.
I'm appreciative, like I said, because everybody doesn't, like, I couldn't have talked about none of this stuff that you know about, you know, and that you've lived and that you've experienced and you've gotten good at navigating through. And so like I said, I love to learn, but I also love to teach. So I'm glad that you were able to share this information with hundreds of thousands of people who will watch this and go, oh man, thank God, that's what I was looking for. I needed that, whether it was I needed to know it's going to be okay, or, oh, an IEP that's what I need. Or, oh, a 504. Oh, okay. Or whatever the case. Oh, I need to go to my doctor first. Okay. Whatever it is. Maybe it's a parent going, see, I knew something. I just knew something was up, but I didn't know that this meant something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That I know something's up. But now watching this episode, I need to take action now. So
good.
Thank you for sharing everything today, being personal and open, because you could have been like, no, I ain't talking about nothing. Y'all need to go figure it out. And so we're grateful that you were here to share. So for those that are watching, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, share this with a couple people. And until the next time, that's all we got. All right. Peace.
Bye.